Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.
I'd like to call the meeting of the Terrebonne Parish Council of Wednesday, July 24th to order. We will have the invocation and pledge by Mr. Clyde Hamner. Hit your button, Clyde.
Lord, thank you for your blessings and kindness. Tonight, before we start our meeting, we pray for your guidance, love, and wisdom. May the decisions we make bring joy and prosperity to those whom we serve. We ask that you give life to our ideas, success to our decisions, and enable us to build a team that is a shining example of your inspiration, your goodness, and your truth. These things we pray through Jesus Christ, your Son, our Lord. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the
Ms. Smith, may we have a roll call, please?
Sir, Mr. Champagne, Mr. Hamner, Mr. Babin, Ms. Chauvin, Mr. Trusclair, Mr. Pleasure, Mr. Harding, Mr. Voisin, Mr. Amity.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present.
Thank you, ma'am. Approve the minutes of the regular council session held on June 24th, 2024. Moved by Mr. Harding, second by Mr. Voisin. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nay. Motion carries. Distribute the minutes of the regular council session held on July 10th, 2024 has been done. Approve accounts payable lists for 7/15/2024 and 7/22/2024. Moved by Mr. Pleasure, seconded by Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. 8 yeas, 1 abstention. Approve manual check listing June 2024. Moved by Mr. Pleasure, second by Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. 8 yeas, 1 abstention. Item 1, general business. A, updates on the state of the Terrebonne Parish levee projects presented by Terrebonne Levee and Conservation District Director, Ms. Angela Hidalgo. Please state your name and address for the record, ma'am.
Angela Hidalgo, 226 Exeter Run, Houma, Louisiana. Thank you for having me here tonight. I have a brief presentation I wanted to kind of give you to go over how we operate our floodgates and flood control structures for the different types of situations that we face. Councilman Babin had asked that I come here to present this to you, so I thought this was a good opportunity to introduce myself again and give you a brief overview of how we operate our floodgates for you and for everyone else. So we prepared this presentation. I guess I'll just say next slide. Okay, so here's our map. You're very familiar with, I'm sure. Marganza the Gulf. It's our whole entire alignment and geographically where we're located. Everyone's familiar with this map. The next slide, thank you, has this is from Google Earth. It's just a little easier to see the alignment, and you can kind of orient yourself a little bit. And if anybody wants this map, I can send it to you, and it's a little more interactive. You can kind of see, you know, where you're in Dularge and then all the way over to the Pointe-aux-Chenes area, Gibson and whatnot, the city of Houma. So that's just that map there. It includes all 98 miles of levees, 80 miles of which are in Terrebonne. We have 14 navigable floodgates, 2 lock structures. The big HNC lock is under construction. We will be having a groundbreaking on August 7th, so all of you are invited to that. I'll be sending an email to you guys tomorrow. We have 11 environmental control structures and sluice gates within the parish. So this is all the structures that we manage for different types of events here in Terrebonne. And those events include things like regular maintenance, which we do monthly, tropical systems, obviously, Non-tropical systems would be like high tides, high winds, those type of events. And then we have the lot complex operations. So those are the types of closures that we typically experience. Maintenance is performed monthly. This is basically to make sure the structure's functioning, that it's operating properly. We identify any needed repairs, that type of thing. We limit these types of closures during the winter months, during low tide levels, and this can restrict gate operational capabilities. We coordinate and schedule these around suitable tides and weather conditions, as always. We alert the Coast Guard and we issue notice to mariners, as always. We send out notification and text alerts when we operate these gates, always. And these closures are typically performed in less than a day. So the channels wouldn't be closed for more than, 6 to 10 hours, depending on which type of gate it is. Tropical systems, this is more what most people are familiar with. Generally, each floodgate has different types of permitting conditions, how they operate, right? But generally, for the Morganza system, which is the map that I showed you with all those flood structures, we perform a complete system closure if we're expecting a named storm in the Gulf, and we are expecting 2.5 feet of elevated tides. So the takeaway here is that if we have a named storm, we're in the cone, and we're expecting 2.5 feet of elevated tides, we're gonna start to close the system. So that's a key point here. I wanna make sure everyone's comfortable with. That's how we operate the system. But every storm is different, right? So depending on the path, the wind direction, the wind speed, the water tide levels, whatever, we have to adaptively manage the system. So it's not something that's black and white every time. We have to make changes as the storm comes through. We have a team of people that make these decisions. It's not just me. It's not just my board. It's a team of people. And we use the available information from National Weather Service, forecasted tracks, and, Martin Stick. So the last thing we close are the road gates. So we never want to block off vehicular traffic or block off a person's way to get to their camp or their house or whatever. So those are usually the last things we close. And we don't close them all the time, just if needed, right? So if we're expecting levels higher than the roadway, we'll close the road gates. We usually send police, fire, whatever, past the outside of the system, let everybody know we're closing the road gate. Some of the road gate closures have emergency bypasses, so we allow for that. So we're not, blocking access, but we do want to make sure everybody's safe. And we want to give them ample time to get their boats, cars, whatever, to safe harbor. We only perform these operations for the gates when it's suitable tides and suitable weather conditions. We can't do it when it's raining with 40-mile-an-hour winds, and, that's just not safe for our people. It's not safe for the operation of the gate, right? We don't want to go out there and something break, and then we can't close it. So typically when we do operate the gates, it's when it's a beautiful day outside, when everyone wants to go fishing, calm winds, slack tides. So that's the part where it gets a little tricky for us, because the public is more, why are you closing it now? It's beautiful. We're going fishing. And I get it. But if we wait 24 hours, it's not going to be beautiful and it's not going to be safe to operate. So that's kind of a tough situation. You guys need to be aware of that. And when you get calls, you can explain to people they're operating it when it's safe to do so, to be able to close the system before conditions get seriously bad or dangerous and we can't operate those gates. And of course, the first question we always get is, when are you going to close it, right? Second question is, when are you going to open it? So we can't open it until the water levels have equalized and it's also safe to do so. So that's the tropical system operation criteria. Federal waterways like the HNC, we operate those in coordination with a team. That's me, that's my program manager, my staff, EOC Director Earl, Parish President Jason, the sheriff, National Weather Service. There's a bunch of us, and they all make the decision, when is the safest to close it, when is the safest to open it. So that's the biggest federal waterway we have. That's the one that is probably the most trafficked for hurricanes. I recall once, I want to say it was like Karen or something like that. Years ago, we made a decision to close it, put out the 24-hour notice, and it was like a parade of vessels coming in. There was like 40 of them that came in. I think, Danny, you were out there that day. So we do notify the Coast Guard. I do issue text alerts. I'm going to go over that a little bit. And we do notice to mariners. Now, it's also important to know, not for every storm does the entire system close, right? So sometimes we close partial parts of the system depending on storm track. So we'll evaluate the threat and determine what gates within the system need to be closed, and we'll make those decisions. But at no point are we not notifying mariners, notifying the public. We have a system to do that I'll go over in a minute. We monitor tide levels, weather forecast, and determine when these gates can safely reopen. We also collect data from our data site. This data site it aids us in future decision-making and how we manage our FEMA claims, and also for like historical analytics. We just like data. For non-tropical high tide, which is elevated water levels, we typically due to fronts or prolonged southerly winds that produce high tides. It's more frequent on the eastern side of the parish, like Montague, Chauvin, and Cocodrie, due to their orientation, right? And the storm's orientation too. We coordinate these around suitable tides and weather conditions, just like any other closures. We also send notifications and texts, and we monitor tide levels and forecast to determine when we can safely reopen. The lot complexes, we have 3. 2 of them are functioning, 1 of them is under construction. So Boudreaux Canal is operated at the direction of the parish. We staff it. We work in conjunction with your pump station, which you call the D67 pump station. It requires the upper Little Caillou structure in Berg to be closed in order to successfully operate that gate. And we communicate with marine traffic for openings, obviously. Typically, we can do openings at the top of the hour. So if you're in a vessel, or if you have any of your constituents call you, if at the top of the hour, meaning 10 minutes before the hour and any time in that 20-minute window, we'll be able to operate the gate and just let them in. Same thing with Bayou Terrebonne and Montague. This is the one that we operate. It allows for continued marine navigation and also for safe harbor. So if the system is completely closed and you're outside of the system, you can get safe harbor through Bayou Terrebonne locks in Montague. And then, of course, the HNC is currently under construction, and it'll be finished in 2028. We also, anytime we operate these gates, we're sending out notifications and text alerts. So this is the sequence of closures. Again, it's not the same every time. It is the same most of the time. We do try to close the non-essential, less navigable floodgates and the water control structures first. It does take us about 24 hours to close the whole system. So we will start, this is just a typical example, okay? This is not set in stone, and there's not a definitive time. We make these decisions on each individual scenario. But for example, we'll close all the water control structures a few days ahead of storms. That doesn't matter to anybody. It's not preventing any boat transportation or anything like that. For non-essential, less navigable floodgates, those include like Humboldt Canal, Placid Canal, Bush, and Upper Little Caillou and Berg, and then Grand Bayou, Bayou Grand Caillou, and Lower Dularge. So those are the non-essential to navigation floodgates that we can close, and we'll usually close those on day 1. So the next day, which is the last day we will close gates, is the remaining gates, which is Cocodrie, Pointe-aux-Champs, Boudreaux Canal locks, Bayou Terrebonne locks, which again remain functioning as long as it's safe to do so at the top of the hour, and then Falgoux Canal and the Bubba Dove. So those notices are sent out well ahead of time. The schedule of closures, as soon as the decision is made of what the schedule is, those text notices are sent out to everybody that signed up to receive them. And then the road gates are the last, if needed. Not all the time are they needed. Typically, when we close road gates, we're expecting Category 2 or 3 or higher, so a direct impact. And then reopening the gates, just so you know, is the exact reverse of when we close them. So we open up the road gates first. We open up the essential floodgates to navigation, then the non-essentials, then the water control structures. So it just goes in reverse order. So I talked about text notifications and alerts quite a bit. This is the website. It's tlcd.org/mobile. You can sign up to receive text alerts. When you go to that site at the bottom right, there's a register button. You can click on that and enter in your email and your phone number, and you're signing up for text alerts when you do that. You're going to get all the alerts. So you can also stop getting them if you want to, but it's during hurricane season, it's quite frequent. But so you can create a password, and that's how you get the text notifications. When you go to the site, there's also a floodgate status option, and green is open, yellow is pending closure, and red is closed. So it's a color-coded system, fairly easy to understand. And then there's an interactive map. So you can see if it's red, the button is red where the location is on that GPS map in the middle of the screen. And if it's green, it's open. If it's yellow, we're monitoring for closure. So there's also a way you can kind of plot data. So you can select 24-hour and 7-day flood levels, and it'll show you the tide range and how it kind of plots where it was high tide, low tide, that kind of thing. And then if you click on the news and alerts updates, those are all the updates that the TLCD has sent out in the past. So it's a historical representation of all of the operations of the gates as the text messages are sent out. So we use that quite a bit. So I encourage everyone to sign up for that if you haven't already. If you have trouble, you can let me know and I can sign up for you. So this is just Hurricane Beryl. This was the last one we did. It was my first storm, my first week on the job. And we did this in 24 hours. So I'm super proud of this. My team is fantastic. They can prioritize which gates need to close. They can go close them without issue, and they can reopen them, with closures and openings within 24 hours. So that's fantastic for my team because it's a lot. And you can see all the way from Bayou Black, all the way to Pointe-aux-Chenes, we have all these different floodgates. Some of them are barge gates, some lock complexes, and they were all successfully operated and closed. For Beryl, we held back about 1.5 feet of water. So that's a good thing. And that makes me feel like we closed it at the right time. We realized we had 1.5 feet on the outside of the system. We prevented people from flooding. We prevented roads from flooding. And that's the goal of the whole system. So we will operate it when we expect those high tides. And this is what it was built for. It was designed for. And this is what we're going to operate it for. So that's my presentation on floodgate closures if anyone has any questions. That was easy.
Mr. Babin?
Yes.
Yeah, Angela, I just want to thank you. That's an excellent presentation. I think that clears up a lot of things. I say clears up. It gives information to the public that's watching out there tonight that this is, you're all on top of it all the time. It's not something that can be closed like turning a light switch off. It takes time. And the key in this whole thing is doing it when it's safe for your employees to do it, because if it's not, then the entire parish is in peril after that. But no, thank you very much. I think it was a great presentation, and y'all are doing an excellent job. Just maybe you may put out to people the funding source for the levy board. Where do you get your funds from?
Sure. So we collect, for our operations, we collect a property tax, a millage, just like the parish government does. Right. We also passed a 1/2-cent sales tax and a 1/4-cent sales tax, and that's what funded the construction of all of these major structures and levees that you've seen in this presentation. It's a commitment of Terrebonne Parish citizens. They believe in what we're doing. It resonates well with us that they trust us to do this. I feel like we've done a fantastic job, and I'm super proud to be part of it from the beginning, and hopefully to see it for another 10 or 15 years. The lock complex is a big deal. I know it's something people have been talking about since well before I was here, but over 25 years. So this is a huge realization for us, super proud moment. I'd love for all of you to be there for the dedication ceremony, for the groundbreaking ceremony rather, in a couple of weeks. So that would be great. I'll send all that to you too. But so that's how we get our funding and our support, and it's very much appreciated.
Good. And again, those of us that represent the lower portions of the parish, Steve and Kim and myself, we appreciate this. But this also protects the entire parish. It's not just protecting the lower end of the parish. So again, thank you very much and for your explanation. And if Mitch or Trey if they want to add something, they're more than welcome to come up. And I know there's some other lights.
I'm happy to answer any technical questions you may have, but I think Angela nailed it on that.
Thank you, Mr. Babin. Ms. Chauvin?
Hi, Angela. Good
Hi.
job. Good
Thanks.
job. Okay, I would like to request the structure overview, if you can send that to me, the map that you had. And also, one of the things that continually comes up in phone calls is you named the gates and how you sequence them. When you're opening and closing So I get when you're open, when you're closing, you're doing it in an order. And I seen the way they were all mapped out, like the names of them. Is that how you close them? Is that how you open them? Or it just depends on what's going on? Because this is a big
Right.
question I get a lot.
Right. So your easterly facing gates are the ones that we tend to focus on first. And again, those notifications are being pushed out.
Yeah.
So usually the ones I listed first are the ones we close first. But again, it depends on the storm.
Right.
So all of those, when I say adaptively managed, we have a team of people that study this and do this every day. And they're my tide whisperers. Like they just know, what direction the wind is, when is high tide, when is low tide, when can we operate those gates safely, and what's the best opportunity to close them to give the best protection we can. It wouldn't make sense to close them at high tide, right? So we have those type of variables that we place into this decision matrix kind of thing, and they decide what they're going to do. Typically, though, those are the ones we focus on first, because typically the way they're oriented, they're the ones that are going to experience tides higher first.
Right.
So like do large, not so much as, bush kind of thing.
Right. So I would request, if you can send this to me in an email, because it just helps me to go back over it and over
Absolutely.
it again. And I do want to thank you, because I do shoot out the text. We have group texts. I think we have about 250 fishermen that we hit with those texts.
That's perfect.
So if they're getting them from you and they're getting them from us and we're trying to get them in, that is a lot of what I do in the Bayou area. But, there are still questions that I just don't have the answers for. And so a lot of times I'll call you. So just bear with me.
Perfectly fine.
All right,
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Chauvin. Mr. Charles Clare.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Angela, just for informational purposes, for the most part, the levees are at 12 feet.
So-
And what's our next step?
So-
Just explain where we're going.
So we're going to 15 feet right now. Some of them are already at 15 feet. And if you want, I can come back to you another day with a presentation on the levee situation if you want, if that would be helpful to you. But we're building actively to 15 feet right now. Some of them are being lifted to like 9 or 10. But again, the goal is 15. And then after 15, we'll just keep doing subsequent lifts after that.
Correct. That's where I want to go with this, that, we're not stopping
No,
at
sir.
any point in the foreseeable future.
Right. We're going as high as we can with the width that we have as fast as we can.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Charles Clare. Mr. Wazan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the presentation. It was wonderful. Ida was an odd storm because it was predominantly north winds with the gates closed, right? So I always got a lot of questions, even though I wasn't in office at that time, but people called me, man, why they not opening the gates, I'm like, well, you can't just open the gates.
Right.
And I think you've made that very clear. But with that being said, is that something that's been looked at for maybe additional hardware or anything that maybe we could equalize in that situation?
So I'm glad you brought that up. We did experience what we call a reverse head for Hurricane Ida, and we experienced higher tides on the inside than the outside. I mean, we had like a 13-foot differential. It was unbelievable. But what we were able to do is we looked at potential FEMA hazard mitigation funds to install these giant flap gates on 3 of our structures, one at Cocodrie, and that's already done. And what that would allow it to do is if the water is higher on the inside than the outside, while we can't open the gate, those flaps are going to open up, and that's going to drop that water level lower at or lower than the road. So that would have prevented all of those damages from happening. We're also doing and actively pursuing doing that at Bush Canal and Placid Canal. So those are the floodgates that experience some issues with Ida, and we're allowing for those flap gates. We've built one at Cocodrie, and we're doing it at Bush and Placid as we speak. So that will mitigate that and it's 100% paid for by FEMA.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yep.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Voisin.
Got it?
You got something, Mitch?
Bear with this old crippled man. Mitch Mormon, 351 Tiger Lily Drive. To add on to what Angela's saying, so if a storm's coming, we have a model that we look at that's produced by LSU, okay? So what we're going to do is take the predicted path and it's going to determine surges across our whole levee system. But then we're also going to see what happens if it shifts 50 miles left or right, or 100 miles left or right. So we're looking at all of that data to make a decision. Ida's a perfect case. If I had a crystal ball and I had a lot of intestinal fortitude, we could have made the call to leave some of those gates open and we'd have had a better situation. However, if you have any shift in that alignment, we have total devastation across the parish, right? So, you know, you're not only looking at what you think the prediction is, but if any deviation occurs on that prediction. With Beryl, same thing. I mean, we're predicting what happens if this thing comes a little further north, a little further east, you know? Are we going to repeat something like Rita or Ida, Rita or Ike, you know, if we have that type of scenario? So, I mean, it really is to, you know, for her to get up here and tell you exactly this is how it's going to go down, it doesn't work that way. And, you know, another thing is, you know, she said essential, non-essential. We try to keep navigation as open as we possibly can, and that certainly factors into our decision making. But like for the HNC, we're also thinking about how much capacity we have in the interior of the system, right? When we close, when it starts raining, it's not getting out, right? It's not coming out. That's our main outflow. So we try to time those things with the conditions based on, all right, how do we achieve the greatest storage capacity for this storm event? Those are unbelievably variable, different things all occurring at the same time to make, it's very complex. And Angela's right, the staff that does this is top notch. And they do just such a wonderful job. And, you know, it is a team effort, but, you know, it's complex. It's not as simple as everything seems to be. That's right. That's right. I just wanted to add that.
President Badgerow?
Yeah, I just wanted clarification on Steve's comment about the 15-foot. You know, as I wonder if you're asking if it relates to the Morganza to the Gulf alignment, of which we're working the Corps of Engineers and they're getting ready to start a project for Reach A, which if I'm not mistaken is going to be at 3 foot. So just to, you know, clarification for everybody to think maybe we are or not at 15 foot, that is not the case. I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, sir. All right, Angela and Mitch, I thank you guys. Mitch, you really stated something I wanted to state, that, you know, a lot of times the general public thinks you just push a button and those things close, and having worked on that system personally, sometimes you got to close those things with a tugboat because of the force of the water pushing against them. So I know cables and chains pop and those sorts of things. So I appreciate you guys coming and giving us a layman's term explanation of what you're doing. And again, for Angela, congratulations. You're, what are we, the 25th today, 25 days as director?
Thank you.
So we're praying for no storms this year, but we appreciate all that you guys do. As a member, as a person that lives in the northern part of the parish, I tell people all the time, I said, you know, we voted for that tax because we don't want to be waterfront property in 50 years. We wanted that system built to help us with that as well. So there's a lot of advantages to the system. It's not just flood protection, but it's also for coastal restoration too, when we can stop those tidal waters from hitting Falgood Canal and all that area, as well as Pontchartrain, Montague, and Chauvin. So again, thank you for coming, give this presentation. Mr. Harding wants to add one more thing.
Yeah, I would like to add, because when he mentioned from the northern end of the parish, I'm kind of centrally located, basically. But then I had an opportunity to travel from Gibson area all the way to Pontchartrain to get a view of it. Because the presentation that you made, it's outstanding. It gives some information, but then you can't believe when he mentioned when John mentioned how it preserves not only just the homes. We're looking at our marshland being improved because our levee systems and the floodgate system and stuff like that. I was actually truly amazed of how we have made advancements, and I can actually see the future as we are increasing the heights of our levees and looking at the fact that our wildlife will be recuperated because of the things that we're doing in Terrebonne Parish. So I thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. And anytime you guys want to come back, just let us know. We'll get you on the agenda because we love information like you love data. All right, so I have a motion by Mr. Pleasure to go to 6:30 public hearings, seconded by Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. Nine yeas, 0 nays. We're going to 6:30 public hearings. Item A, an ordinance amending the 2024 budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government so as to adjust the 2024 adopted beginning fund balances and the net positions to actual as per the 2023 audited financial statements. Call for public.
Sorry.
Second call public. Third and final call public. I have motion to close by Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. We have a motion to adopt, Mr. Babin, second, Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. I have a motion to go back into regular order, Mr. Pleasure, seconded by Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. We're going back to regular order, general business. Item B, a resolution to authorize the parish president or parish administration to execute a biometric screening agreement between Hospital Service District Number 1 of the Terrebonne Parish DBA Terrebonne General Health System and the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government. Moved by Mr. Babin, seconded by Mr. Hamner. Mr. Pleasure.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Got a question on that proposed resolution. What's our end game, our mission here, what we're trying to achieve?
Ryan, you want to come up?
Hey, Mr. Pleasure and council members. This is for our employee health fair. That's going to be August 8th. And this is the biometric screening provided by Terrebonne General for all of our employees to come and get carotid artery tests, blood testing, and various different types of testing that's health related.
Okay. So me reading that, and I don't want to be confused as far as the biometric portion of it, they're going to collect data, correct? For our employees once they go there for the screening, if they choose to do it?
It's if they choose to do it,
Okay.
It's free to the employees.
Correct.
And all of the results will be turned over to the employees.
The results will be turned over to the employees. We won't keep that in-house for.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Easy enough. Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Pleasure. Mr. Trosclair.
Yes, thank you. And Ryan, I spoke to you earlier, and you did, just for, informational purposes, you did say that this was no charge to the parish, right?
I misspoke. I want to clarify that because I do have it pulled up in your backup. The last page of the agreement outlines the full schedule of all the different services that are going to be provided by TGMC. So it is no cost to the employee, but it is provided in our risk management health insurance program to all of our employees. This is something that we've had in our budget for the last, I want to say 5 years, but have been unable to have the health fair itself due to COVID and hurricane and other reasons. So we're bringing that health fair back, and it's going to be at the Civic Center August 8th.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Trosclair. Back to Mr. Pleasure.
Yeah, one more question since Mr. Trosclair brought that up. In the backup, it said that estimated about 400 employees, if they participate, which is about a third, that would presumably cost us maybe 50 grand, correct? If they were to, according to my calculations, if they were to do all of the testing,
If the employees were to do all those testing.
it would be about 50 grand for a third of the employees.
I will say that most employees are not going to do all the testing, so they're going to pick and choose certain ones that they're interested in. But if you max that out, yes, that sounds about right.
Okay, and I know that, some of those tests that I read on there, I mean, blood pressure and also with the prick of the finger, they had some cholesterol screening, various other screenings. Those are, I mean, I'm all for the health fair, but, if we're spending money to do that, I mean, it's $2,500 just for them to do the analysis, or give us the data. So, I mean, it's fine. I know that we recently decided to, revamp our insurance to save money there too as well. But I think we really need to go back in there and take a look at that, because all of the, let's say, I'll give you, for instance, some of the cost savings that we had supposed to have for the employees with, let's use the pharmacies in network. A lot of them are local pharmacies and they're getting bought out. So now I'm sure you guys are aware of that, and we need to try to figure out what we're going to do for our employees, because that gives them a smaller pool to be able to choose from. So I would highly suggest that we at least look at some of the conglomerates out there, like your Walgreens, like your CVS's. I understand we want to have local business here, but at the same time, we want to make sure we're doing the most for our employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pleasure. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Mr. Bergeron.
Yeah, I just want to add that it's been proven that when we do these wellness checks and work on doing this preventive maintenance now, it's going to save us a lot of money in the long run. So just want to make sure everyone understands, and if we need a better explanation of that, we can provide it.
Thank you, sir. Item C, proclamation. Hang on, Mr. Trosclair.
Okay, one more question. Under our current, I actually have the, parish health insurance, and our health insurance does provide for quite a few wellness checks already. So why would we pay somebody to do this when we can run it through the health insurance on the other side?
Ms. Candace?
This would be a little bit, Brian probably couldn't answer. I'll let you answer, unless you want me to.
It's just a huge added value to the employees. It's a benefit that we're offering, and to tell all y'all the truth, this has saved quite a few lives in previous health fairs. We've found some majorly blocked carotid arteries by some employees. They went straight to the hospital and were able to receive treatment. So in the long run, when you look at cost that the parish is paying for this health insurance and coverage, we're saving money in the long run by these claims, by early detection of these health issues.
Okay, I mean, like that, I understand, and look, I totally support it. I'm not against it. But my thing is, if we can save some money by running it through our normal health insurance, some of these screenings, rather than pay it again, where out of the general fund, why would we want to look at that?
Just.
And it may not be that way. I'm just questioning.
Just a couple of notes that we've noted through the past and what we've discussed trying to get it renewed and starting to do it again. This is all employees that this will be available to. So they may not be on our policy, but it maybe will save their life or make them healthier in the long run. Also, a lot of our employees don't have a primary care physician. So they'll come to our health fair to get these tests, and then they'll go to a primary care physician and have that saved over time for that. But that has happened. I know quite a few, probably 2 or 3 right offhand, who went to the health fair, didn't know they had issues, were able to get those tests done, and then able to get a primary care physician, and in the long run, it saved us. So it's just kind of an overall benefit.
Thank you. That's why I don't go to health fairs. I don't want to know.
Right, me too.
Mr. Harding.
I'm not against it either. I think it might bring up something later on down the line, looking at it this way. I remember being in the fire department, and the fire department requires you to have a physical every year. And that's basically, right now with the insurance I do have, wellness checks actually are free. So we're looking at the prevention, early detection and stuff like that, which I do promote, actually lessen the opportunities for certain things, heart attacks, finding out other information. So perhaps even in the future, and we're actually bringing up something in the next proclamation that we're going to have, in the future, maybe we can actually have these employees that we have, give them a benefit, because I think I've talked to you, a few guys, that we've had a couple members of our employees that actually passed away just recently, and I think early detection would have actually helped them out also. So going forward, let's try to look at that and make sure on the anniversary we probably can give them wellness checks.
Thank you, Mr. Harding. Mr. Wazan.
Is it only for the employee, even though they have a family plan? Is it for the spouses and things of that nature as well, or employees only?
So the entire day is going to be open for screenings, and employees can make appointments for their dependents, children and spouses, to come and get the screenings. The screenings are going to be Cardiovascular Institute, Terrebonne General, and a few other health providers will be there for these screenings. Will be from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. that day.
Okay. Elected officials?
Absolutely. if you're on our health plan, yes, sir.
Mr. Hamner?
Yeah, Mr. Page, I applaud you for presenting, along with Terrebonne General Health Systems, for presenting this program to our employees. I can tell you firsthand that these types of wellness programs, and there are other ones out there too. I may mention a few to you at a later date that I don't know if we have or not. Anytime we can prevent something from happening, it saves lives, and it saves, like Mr. Bergeron said, money. I'm always all for any type of preventive maintenance for both myself and everybody else that it's made available to. So that's very good job. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hamner. President Bergeron.
Yeah, I just want to commend Ryan and their group for getting this going again. I know since I've been in office, we did have an employee pass away in his vehicle while on the job. And so we are definitely promoting this in every department. We're going around and talking about it and making sure that all of our employees are aware of this service and that we're recommending highly that they go get checked out. So we maybe could have saved one life since I've been in office with this. So we're definitely pushing it heavily.
Thank you, Mr. Bergeron. Let me just add something to what Ms. Malden was talking about. Where I work, we do these things, and what we find is sometimes people are afraid to go to the doctor, but they're comfortable coming to our break room and, getting these things done. So I think it's good, even though we have all the wellness opportunities for them to go do through cancer screenings and regular health screenings. They just feel more comfortable coming to the office and doing that. I guess they're afraid of needles or something. They won't go to the doctor. But so again, thank you guys for putting this on. I see Ms. Peoples is in the audience. Thank you guys at Terrebonne Health Systems as well.
Let Ms. Phyllis say a few words, if that's okay with y'all.
Sure. We just need a vote.
I wasn't expecting to come up, but if you talk about healthcare, I can't help myself, right? Just a couple of things on that. As Terrebonne General, we are very committed to our community and the people within it. But most of all, what you don't recognize is the wellness screenings are things that do save lives, because what we predominantly find is what people don't know. It's cardiac and it's diabetes. A lot of people don't recognize they're diabetic, and we eat very well here. Our culture makes us eat high in cholesterol, high in sugar, high in all of those things, and we will find we are in a lot of large major employers within our community, and we will find a lot of people who were unknown or undiagnosed diabetics. And that is a very big threat, because that will lead to the cardiac issues and all the other issues that we don't know that subsequently can end up to be a very big issue for everyone. So the screenings, we're big advocates of it. We don't make any money. We just have to pay the labor and the time and the test, to come out and do that. But if we find one or two people, and I have to tell you, historically, we find 15 and 20 people. And the numbers you're talking about, if all 400 came, we're going to have a lot more than that are going to have some kind of abnormal result. And all it does is allow them to have a pathway to get with a provider that may not scare them as much, and that recognize you're having an issue and you might want to pay attention to it. So we appreciate the partnership as always. And Ryan has gotten out front with that. So thank you, Ryan, for that. I think that's a big advocacy, and of course, President Bergeron. So thank y'all for all that y'all do for us, but mostly that we can advocate healthcare in our community. Any questions I can answer? Y'all had some good ones, though.
I think they're done.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. Item C is a proclamation proclaiming the week of August 4th through the 10th, 2024 as National Health Center Week in Terrebonne Parish. Councilman Harding.
Thank you, sir. The City of Houma, Louisiana, Parish of Terrebonne, proclamation. Whereas For over 50 years, community health centers have provided high-quality, affordable, comprehensive primary preventive health care in our nation's underserved communities, delivering value to and having a significant impact on Americans' healthcare systems. And whereas, as the country's largest primary care network, community health centers and the health centers are home for over 30 million Americans, over 14,000 communities across the nation, serving both rural and urban communities, and often providing the only access to dependable sources of primary care in their communities. And whereas every day community health centers develop new approaches to integrating a wide range of services beyond primary care, including oral health, vision, behavioral health, and pharmacy service to meet the needs and challenges of their communities. And whereas community health centers nationally employ more than 253,000 people, including physicians, nurses, practitioners, physician assistants, and certified nurses, midwives, who work as part of the multidisciplinary clinical teams designed to treat the whole patient. And whereas during National Health Center Week, we celebrate the legacy of Americans' community health centers and their virtual role in shaping the past, present, and future of America's healthcare system. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Terrebonne Parish Council, on the behalf of the parish president, Jason W. Bergeron, and the entire Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government, does hereby proclaim August 4th through the 10th, 2024 as National Healthcare Week, and that all residents of Terrebonne Parish be encouraged to take part in this week by visiting Test Action Clinic in Houma or Dulag and celebrating an important partnership between America's Community Health Center and the communities they serve. Presented this day on the 24th day of July 24, 2024, and signed by President Jason Bergeron and Council Chairman John Amity, and supported by the entire Terrebonne Parish Council.
Hang on a second, Mr. Willis. Let us get your microphone turned on. All right, there you go.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Leroy Willis, Touch Action Clinic Board Chairman, and we have Mr. Howard Castay, a board member with us this afternoon. We are pleased and proud that you guys have signed this proclamation declaring National Health Center Week. We've been in business for 50 years, and we thank you guys for having us in your parish, serving those that may not have the necessary funds to provide the services that they need. Healthcare is very important in our nation, and it is our job at Touch Action Clinic to provide the very best. I heard earlier you was talking about providing medicine. Check us out. We have a sliding fee discount that could save you some money with the program I heard you talking about earlier. God bless you. May we continue this partnership for years to come.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Item D, consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend ordinance number 9596, the newly adopted section 28-82 of chapter 28 of the Terrebonne Parish Code of Ordinances to remove requirements for voluntary registration of properties, within the overlay district and to provide for other matters relative thereto and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, August 14th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. Moved by Mr. Harding. Second by Mr. Babin. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. 2, public wishing to address the council. A, Mr. Glenn Duncan would like to address the council regarding the history of the official state flag of Louisiana and present the council with the current state flag. Mr. Duncan, thank you for being here tonight. Please give your name and address for the record.
My name is Glenn Duncan, 616 East Woodruff Drive, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to come here tonight. This is going to be interesting for y'all, I hope. And with the chairman's permission, I'd like to go ahead and give a handout as well. I feel like my life is coming full circle. Let me give you just a little background. I'm Glenn Duncan. I am with Providence Engineering Company. We're proud to have done some work in the parish. We look forward to that in the future. But that is not why I'm here. But I have to say that because my boss and my company picks up the tab for this effort. They support it. What happened to me years ago before I joined the engineering firm was I happened to be president of the Baton Rouge Advertising Federation. And an advertising federation has artists, graphic artists, people who understand text, people who understand logos and trademarks. And at that shortly before that, the state legislature passed an amendment to our flag law, which altered the flag. A couple of years after that, while I was president, I realized that alteration had not taken place, and I wondered perhaps I needed help. So I did what a lot of people do in this state and around the world, I hope a lot of people do, is raise my hand and say, can I help? I called the Secretary of State's office, and they said, Glenn, I'm glad you called. We don't have any artists on board to do this. We seriously need your help. And I said, well, I'd like it to be a volunteer effort. I'd like members of the community to step up and do it. And so at that moment, I had the chance to help design our state's official flag. Now, here's the interesting thing. The flag at that moment behind the Secretary's office was quite different than the flag out in front of the building, and we didn't know which was the official flag. The amendment called for 3 drops of blood to be added to the breast of the pelican. Very simple. I thought I was going to take a flag, put 3 drops of blood on it, and have it be done. And immediately we realized we didn't even know which of those 2 flags was the official flag. So we had to pause, and I had to do a good deal of research. So we jumped into the archives, the law libraries, and we took it upon ourselves, I say we because I had a partner, to really determine the nature and the history of our flag. And I realized there wasn't a great history. We had to really look. So we took that information and put it together in the book in front of you. That is really the only comprehensive history of our state flag. So here's a very unusual story. When we embarked on this journey, it was started before us, and it was started by one of your citizens and one of your children. Joseph David Louvier from Houma, Louisiana, wanted a flag to take to an event, I think it was a Boy Scouts, and he realized there was no blood on the breast of the pelican, and he fully believed it should be there. That should be a law. Every flag should have it. So he grabbed his local representative, Baldone, and he wrote a little amendment, and Joseph David Louvier went to the legislature, and he got that amendment passed. From that moment on, there shall be an appropriate display of 3 drops of blood on the breast of the pelican. Well, why is that? Well, the pelican on our flag is, and I hope that you learned something tonight, it's in a position of wounding itself to care for its young. It's an act called vulning. But it's also an act that's been, and I was a little scared to say this when I did the research, it's actually an image that's been adopted by the Catholic Church for generations and generations as an image of Christ wounded to care for his children. Yeah, pull that over. You may not even have the drops of blood. Thank you, sir. You see, there aren't any drops of blood on that flag. And Mr. Louvier said, that shouldn't be the case. So I raised my hand. I said, can we help? And they said, yes. So we, first of all, had to find the official flag. I dare you to look at page 9 there and point to me what the official flag is in Louisiana and which flag we should have used. We found 9 different flags flying over the state of Louisiana. I was kind of surprised by that. 9 different flags. Our state didn't even protect its own image and its own banner. So we set out at that moment to do 2 things. We were going to create a new flag with the drops of blood in the right place. And Secretary Darden was the secretary at the time. I said, Mr. Darden, I think we're going to have to do this from scratch. He didn't hesitate. We showed him the problem. He said, do it. So we set out to understand the history of the flag, the culture of the flag, and the law of the flag, so that once we designed it, all of those would be very consistent and it would be together, and we would have for the first time, an actual official state flag, because not only would we create the drawing, we would specify it. We've specified the color blue, the color brown. We've specified the size, the ratio, the shape. So the state now has specifications for its flag as well as an image. So anybody from this point forward who makes a state flag can call the Secretary of State's office and get those specifications so it comes out to be the right color, the right shape, the right flag, the right ratio, because the law itself, very vague. That's why we had 9 different versions. If you could manufacture a flag, all you had to do was create an image that was a pelican in white on a field of blue, below a banner in white with the state motto on the flag. That would be it. And your flag may not look like the other manufacturer's flag, but according to the letter of the law, you just created an official state flag. I wanted to change that. So I'm here to present to you, since I noticed it wasn't flying there, the official flag of the state of Louisiana. My company wants to present it to you and the citizens of the parish. Secretary Darden was proud of this. He said it's the most pelican-esque flag we've ever had. I don't know if you can see that. That's the big light right there. Yay, Curtis. Curtis Van is the name of the actual artist. I was what you might call the head of design, and we were very proud to do this, and we're very proud to present it to the citizens of Terrebonne Parish, and happy to be standing right here in the city and the parish where this entire journey started. And I really appreciate the moment to do that, and I hope you accept this flag and you fly it proudly. Oh, yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for coming out and doing that.
Indeed, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, once again. I'd like, it's kind of not folded here, but I've got the flag and the box, and there you go. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Oh, thanks. Well, let's do that. How do you want to do this?
We'll let you get in the middle.
Right. All right.
All right, there we go. All right, 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
All right. We really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Take care.
Yeah, so Mr. Duncan was at one of our meetings when he noticed that and spoke to me a couple months ago. So, again, thank you, sir, for coming out and presenting us that. We can get that flag changed on the pole so that'll be the right one. Item B, in accordance with Section 2-07E of the Terrebonne Parish Home Rule Charter, the public will be heard and can speak for 3 minutes on any matter related to parish government without discussion or questions and answers on non-agenda items. I have 2 speaker cards. First one, Mr. Kenyatta Douglas is going to speak regarding Rec 3A being bullied, wrongfully fired, credit card fraud, and not getting paid. Sir, please state your name and address for the record.
Kenyatta Douglas.
Go ahead, sir.
I was speak on I was working for Rec 3A. This credit card stuff is, I brought it to the attention to the chairman. I was going to the stores for the credit card. The guy kept telling me I can't use these credit cards because it's not my credit card. I bring it back to them. They tell me I have to use it. They keep sending me back and forth to the store. I tell them I can't use it. Then they stop doing it, and then they give me a blank check to go to the store with. Can't do that with that. So they were everything that I was doing, they kept saying, I'm just not doing it. So I have this one lady that's constantly bullying me about it because it's dealing with the concession. That's Miss Claudette McKay. Everything I did right at this thing, at the recreation, as far as recreation did. As far as the money goes, I work at Oak Lawn as a coach. but this is Rec 3A. They made agreement with Oaklawn and let the softball team practice and play games over there. That was fine with me. I did the parks for them. They said Oaklawn was gonna pay me after hours. I worked all these hours after hours. Oaklawn said they didn't have an agreement with them. They had the school board, Darrell Dillard, called over to the Rec 3A and told them that they did not have the right agreement with them. They say that they did, they didn't. Then they say they wasn't gonna pay me neither. So now I just get fired for not doing all this stuff, and now I'm out of money, not getting paid for the work that I done. This don't make sense.
All right. So, Mr. Douglas, I want to thank you for coming and sharing that with us. We can definitely point this to some people to take a look at. Mr. Pleasure would like to make a.
I have all the paperwork for as the stuff like from the school board and the recreation in Oakland all talked about it. I have all that.
All right. Okay. Well, Mr. Pleasure's going to wait till after the other gentleman speaks to address a couple of things, but thank you for bringing this to our attention, and we'll take a look into it for you.
Thank you, sir.
Our next speaker, speaking on Rec 3A and threats, is Mr. J. Wayne Celestin. Sir, if you give your name and address for the record as well, you have 3 minutes, sir.
Sure. My name is J. Wayne Celestin. I live at 61 Kirkland Loop. Good evening to everyone. I am a board member of Rec 3A. I'm here because I had another board member threaten me at a meeting on Thursday the 18th, Thursday past. This is not the first threat I received from her. About 2 months ago, I received a threat from her daughter saying that she was going to deal with me when she catch me because of all the disagreements that I had with her mother in board meetings. And I pulled her aside at the next board meeting, and I asked her if she knew what I was speaking about. I said, your daughter said something about threatening me on the phone. And she said, I know all about it, Mr. Celestine. And she turned around and she went and sit back in her seat. So I said, well, no apology. I'm not going to address it, no anything. I said, okay, well, I blew it off. I let it go. So we went on to the next board meeting, and her and the chairman had a big blowout about some stuff, and we disagreed with some things about firing Mr. Kenyatta. And she also went on to tell me that I wasn't her equal, which was belittling to me, and I really found it offensive. And then she went on to threaten me also to tell me that I'm about to call somebody for you. I got somebody for you. So this the second time, and she threatened me in front of the whole board. We all sitting there having a board meeting, and she did this. So we went on and finished this up, and it was just insulting and unprofessional. I mean, this is wrong. We have to address this matter, and, it's unprofessional, it's personal, it's criminal, and it's unacceptable. Thank y'all for y'all time.
Thank you, Mr. Celestine. Mr. Pleasure would like to address something.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can appreciate both of you guys coming in and sharing your concerns with the board. But however, let's make sure that we're clear. The council does not, we do not, as far as make decisions for the board, we do not do that. Like I've talked to you guys before, and I'll let you know that. I've talked to your chairman. Once I got the phone call that yelling and all this was going on, and I communicated to the chairman of that board that he needs to get control of it. Because if he doesn't get control of it, we have a problem. But at the same time, we can't, if you come to us, we can't work that out as the board member goes. You have to get with your board chairman, board members, and you guys decide what should be done as far as, issues with employees and whatnot. That's not our decision. So coming here, it's not going to make us say, well, let us go and, look at this, that, and the third. I can only suggest to you guys what we can do. And I've shared that to you. Not only that, I have a meeting set up with you guys that today couldn't happen. It'll be happening in the coming days. I told the board chairman to get with you guys, let you know, and I'll come out and bring you the policy and procedure manual, which, in fact, I gave you guys a copy of that several weeks ago. So it sounds like we got a problem, but I'm not going to pick sides on this thing. I'm just going to go straight down the middle of the road, and I'm going to tell you whether you're right or the board chairman whether he's right or wrong as well. And there's a way to conduct business, but what you guys got is it's a great rec district out there. It's really small. It's probably getting the least amount of money from the parish or as a whole. And the facilities out there are top notch. And I would hate to see all this go on like this. I can remember a year ago when I first got here, I took a lot of, I was really wanting to get involved and see what was going on within my district when it comes to rec districts, and I really took a big liking to Rec 3A. But within the last, 6 months or so, it's petering out, and that's not a good thing. But at the same time, I will be in contact with your board chairman, and we can speak at the meeting from there. Now, this can't turn into where dialogue, us going back and forth and all that. As far as the termination, whatever that goes, that's something that you guys have to work that out with the board. But here, you come and express your concerns. Really, we only address certain things, what have you, but I gave you my take on that, and we will be out there to possibly help you out. Also, Mr. Steve Trusclair, I'll brief him on some of the things that's been going on, if he doesn't already know, because I know that he and I were in some text messages, but then, that kind of dropped off. We thought everything was fine from there.
Hang on a second.
Excuse me. About the fields, the only reason why the rec is getting so much money right now is because of me. We went from having 8 games all of last year a week to having 40 games a week this year. That's because when other fields had rainouts, we didn't have rainouts. When they said they called me and say, get the fields ready, Ken, the fields are ready. No matter who called, the fields got ready where they can finish baseball season. But then they say I'm not doing my job. That don't make sense. When you triple your finance from one year to the next year, that's personal. This don't have nothing to do with work. This personal. And she told the board this personal. All this is about my son and her granddaughter. I have nothing to do with that. That's personal. That don't have nothing to do with me and my job, my performance.
Mr. Kenyatta, if I can make a suggestion on the money part, talk to the Department of Labor.
Okay.
They would be able to handle something on that, maybe follow whatever they recommend that you file for that. They handle those, and it sounds like your council members are going to meet with you guys, and they'll take it from there. So I appreciate you coming out tonight and making us aware of it. And I assure you that one way or another, Mr. Pleasure, Mr. Trosclair, we'll be able to point you guys in the right direction as well as your board.
I appreciate it. That's all I want is the money situation. Everything else is cool.
Mr. Harding?
Yeah, and there are some situations, and just like Mr. Pleasure had said, I know Mr. Pleasure and Mr. Trusclair perhaps are the only 2 people that's up here that's associated with that particular recreation district. It's rather simple. I think in reference to money and things like that, I'm pretty sure within 3A there's a process how they handle the employees and whether you have an opportunity to come back and actually dispute that. As those personal things that come up before us and stuff like that should be handled in 3A. Because that's something, as we see it, we let the rules and regulations of that recreation district take care of that. That's an in-house thing, so I'm sure Mr. Trusclair and Mr. Pleasure can give you guys some guidance in that, and hopefully it can be ironed out. This is a matter once it gets to us, it's a little more serious than that. So y'all be mindful, perhaps what y'all want to do, just hopefully y'all can take care of it within yourselves at that recreation district.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Harding. Okay, we're going to move on to item 3, committee reports. Mr. Babin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh,
No,
okay, you first?
Yeah.
All right, Public Services Committee, Mr. Babin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Public Service Committee meeting held on Monday, July 22nd, 2024, and I have 2 public hearings. Number 1, giving notice of intent to adopt an ordinance to rescind ordinance number 9015 to amend Appendix A, Chapter 6, Part 2 of the Terrebonne Parish Code of Ordinances in order to reinstate certain residential building permits outlined in Exhibit A, attached hereto, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, August 28, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. Number 2, consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend Article 4, Chapter 18 of the Terrebonne Parish Code, Section 18-91, to add locations Country Drive and Aragon Road to the 25-mile-per-hour regulations, speed limit regulations, and include the following changes. In paragraph number 4, add dump trucks, box trucks, and tractor trailers. In paragraph number 5, add listed above. In section 2, section 18-91, speed limits add. Aragon Road only for dump trucks, box trucks, and tractor trailers, and those vehicles having a total weight in excess of 10 tons. And Country Drive only for dump trucks, box trucks, tractor trailers, and those vehicles having a total weight in excess of 10 tons, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, August 14th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m.
So we have a motion by Mr. Babin, seconded by Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion carries. Item B, Budget and Finance Committee. Mr. Pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Budget and Finance Committee held on Monday, July 22nd, 2024, and I have 1 public hearing. Number 1, introduce an ordinance to amend the 2024 adopted operating budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items and to provide for related matters. Item number 1, hazard mitigation grant, $1,055,653. Item number 2, flood mitigation assistance, $1,277,035. Item number 3, Houma Police Department, $20,000. Item number 4, Houma Fire Department, $500. Item number 5, Houma Downtown Development Corporation, $28,781, and calling a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, August 14th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m.
Second. So we have a motion by Mr. Pleasure, seconded by Ms. Chauvin. Members, vote your machines. Nine yeas, 0 nays. Motion carries. Item 4, no streetlights were submitted, so no action is necessary. Item 5, appointments to various boards, committees, and commissions. A, TGMC Hospital Service District Board, 2 expiring terms on 7/31/24. Dr. Ben Adams, representing the Medical Society, expresses his interest in being reappointed. Dr. Nicole McKee, respecting the Medical Society, submits application and resume for consideration. Dr. Stephen Charbonnet, representing the Medical Society, submits application and resume for consideration. Mr. Michael Bergeron, representing the Chamber of Commerce, expresses his interest in being reappointed.
To open, close, and vote on the first appointment and
Reappoint.
Mr. Michael Bergeron on the second.
So we have a motion to open, close, and vote on Dr. Adams, Dr. McKee, and Dr. Charbonnet, and reappoint Mr. Michael Bergeron.
Second.
Motion was by Mr. Babin, second was by Mr. Harding. Ms. Alicia, can we have a voice vote on the first one?
Mr. Champagne,
Adams.
Mr. Hamner,
Dr. Ben Adams.
Mr. Babin,
Dr. Adams.
Ms. Chauvin, Mr. Trusclair, Mr. Pleasure,
Adams.
Mr. Harding, Mr. Voisin, and Mr. Amity.
Dr. Adams.
Okay, we have 9 for Mr. Adams.
So congratulations to Mr. Adams. Mr. Bergeron is in the audience tonight. If you'd like to say a few words. Thank you for sticking around. Give your name and address for the
Michael
record. please.
Bergeron, 106 Regency Lane, Houma, Louisiana. I was originally appointed to this, the Hospital Service District Board, I believe in 2000. I served until, I think, 2013 and was off for 3 years. And then I really enjoyed my service. I think I'm an asset to the Hospital Service District. The hospital is in good shape. We just got our bond rating in. I'm a CPA by profession, so I've chaired the finance committee, I think, as long as I've been on that Hospital Service District Board. We're in really good financial position. We've got excellent safety ratings. We've got a really good organization, and it's an asset to this parish. We have a lot of projects coming up that we're excited about. It's an excellent organization, and I appreciate your support.
Thank you, Mr. Bergeron. Item B, Children and Youth Services Board, 5 expired terms, each representing one of the following. Department of Children and Family Services, Bayou Area Children Foundation, Gulf Coast Teaching and Family Services, Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office, and Houma Police Department. Ms. Tammy Traha, representing the Louisiana Department of Children and Family Services, submits application and resume for consideration.
Motion to actually appoint Ms. Tammy Tron and hold the other 4.
So we have a motion by Mr. Harding, seconded by Ms. Chauvin, to appoint Ms. Traha and hold the others. Members, vote your machines. 8 yeas, 1 abstention. Ms. Traha's not here tonight? Okay. Item 6, staff reports. Item A, Parish President Jason W. Bergeron is requesting ratification of his recommendation of Dr. Mike Garcia to the Terrebonne Economic Development Authority Board. Moved by Mr. Babin, seconded by Mr. Hamner. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Congratulations to Dr. Garcia. Item 7, vacancies to various boards, committees, and commissions. A, Recreation District Number 2-3 Board, 1 expired term. Coteau Fire Department Protection District Board, 1 expired term. Children and Youth Services Board, 4 expired terms, each representing one of the following: Bayou Area Children Foundation, Gulf Coast Teaching and Family Services, Terrebonne Parish Sheriff, and Houma Police Department. Downtown Development Corporation, 3 expired terms, each representing the following entities: 1 representing the Parish Council, 1 representing the Historical Society, and 1 representing Downtown Merchants. Municipal Civil Service Board, 1 expired term representing the council, and 1 vacancy due to resignation representing the council nominated by Nicholls State University. South Central Human Services Authority, 1 expiring term on 8/15/24 and 1 expired term. Terrebonne Parish Tree Board, 1 expired term and 1 vacancy due to a resignation. Veterans Memorial District Board, 1 vacancy due to a resignation representing the parish president south of the Intracoastal. Item 8, announcements. Parish President, you have announcements, sir?
Yes, we have some events coming up. The 2024 Robinson Ranch Inaugural Slider Cook-Off, Friday, July 26th at 4 p.m. at Robinson Ranch. 2024 Pause for a Cause Trivia Night, Saturday, July 27th at 5 p.m. at the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Rifle Range. The 2024 Trial of the Wicked Witch parody, presented by the Sunrise Rotary Club, Thursday, August 1st, 7 p.m. at the Woodman of the World. The Hercules Festival in the Bayou and Fishing Rodeo, August 9th through 11th at the Barry Ball Civic Center. And CASA's 3rd Annual Pairings for a Purpose Vegas Night, Saturday, August 10th, 6 p.m. at the Mardi Gras Hall.
Thank you, sir. Council members, Mr. Harding.
Yes. I have an event that ended up that's going to be on July 29th, 2024, the Barry P. Bonvillain Civic Center. Generally, I usually take an opportunity to extend my hand, and wisdom, and knowledge to my constituents out of District 2. And generally, I have it in the central location like Dumas. But unfortunately, it's not in Dumas because Dumas is being repaired and the municipal auditorium is being repaired. So for the naysayers or the people that's wondering why Carl Harding have the Civic Center, it's only by happenstance. So it's for the people of District 2, and of course, it's always open to the general public because I'm a public servant. If a person that's have concerns down in Gibson, we're going to have some wonderful people there making presentations. And if you are concerned, most oftentimes people don't come here, and that's why I give so many of these events, because I try to bring it to the people. So I'm going where you are often, but then please come where I am, July 29th, 2024, the Barry P. Bonvillain Civic Center, Meeting Room 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harding. Mr. Babin?
Yeah, and I want to thank the gentleman for coming tonight with the flag from the state flag. That was, I love these types of things. And along that line, I'm a veteran. I fly a flag at my house 365, okay, 24/7. When your flags get deteriorated, the flag is supposed to be burned. Flag Day is July 14th every year. Well, they used to do that at the American Legion down in Chauvin. They don't do it anymore. Unbeknownst to me, there is a place at Veterans Park, and I should have known this before, but there's a place at Veterans Park that you can bring your American flag. There's a depository there, and they take care of burning it. So I just wanted to pass it to the general public. Him bringing the state flag tonight made me think about that. I just brought 2 that I've been having in Ziploc bags because they were so deteriorated. So in any event, you'll see it. It's out there. Thank you very much.
Just to add to that, too, if you live in the Broadmoor area, on Douglas Drive, there's a gentleman that we always bring ours to. He has a box in front of his house. I forget the exact house address, but I know it's on the right going toward the back.
And one other thing, congratulations to our parish president on being the admiral of the Grand Isle Tarpon Rodeo this weekend. We'll have to salute you.
Thank you, Mr. Babin. Ms. Chauvin?
Oh, he can go before me. Okay. All right. So just so you know, they also have a dockside clinic that's going to the Terrebonne Parish Library, Dulac Branch. It's July 30th, and somebody just texted it to me, so I just want to put it out there. It's from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., July 30th. That is Tuesday, and it is the dockside clinic, so they do the free health screenings.
Thank you, Ms. Chauvin. President Bergeron.
Thank you for reminding me for that. That's one of the things I didn't cover for whatever reason, but a few interesting facts. It is the oldest fishing tournament in the country. In 2028, it's going to make 100 years. And so it is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, bands, food, good time, the Grand Isle International Tarpon Rodeo. So thank you for that reminder.
Thank you, Mr. Bergeron. So I have a motion adjourned by Ms. Chauvin, seconded by Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines.
From the moment you walk into the showroom floor at Trapp Cadillac, you understand our commitment to providing a truly exceptional experience for all returning and new customers.
Our goal is to make sure you're always comfortable while understanding the entire process of getting into your new Trapp Cadillac.
When you drive a Trapp Cadillac, you know performance, bold styling, and our shared commitment to service.
One thing you could always count on here at Trapp Cadillac is our excellent service experience.